Hello, I'm Janet Morana, Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our program. Well, some people might be saying, like, oh, election day. Oh, there's an election. Oh, in my state. Oh, it's kind of like an off election year. Well, brothers and sisters, there is never an off election year. You should always be showing up to vote. Even early voting is so important, but definitely by election day in every election. Why? Because sometimes these smaller offices, county this person, county that person, your state legislators, the list goes on and on. They affect the policies of your community. And guess what? Sometimes they move up the ladder. Like, let's not forget, President Obama was started as a community organizer. So, right now, we're going to pay attention to two states in particular where we have an opportunity to make big advances for the pro-life issue. But if we don't succeed, the pro-aborts are going to do heavy damage for the unborn babies. So the first state we're going to take a look at, we're going to look at two tonight. We're going to look at Virginia and Ohio. But first, we're going to take a look at Virginia. And joining with me is an expert, Virginia Cobb, and she is the president of the Family Foundation of Virginia, and it's the largest and oldest pro-family advocacy organization in the state. And she's going to tell us what's the condition there and what we need to do to act quickly. So, Virginia, welcome. I can do it again. Virginia, it's Victoria. Victoria, welcome to the program. Victoria from Virginia. Okay, go for it.
Thanks for having me.
Why should we be screaming, wake up, Virginians, get out and vote pro-life? Tell us the whole landscape.
Oh boy, it couldn't be more important that Virginians, those of us that are pro-life, we hope people have already balloted, they've already voted because we have early voting. But here's what's at stake. So Virginia is a very deeply divided state on the life issue in particular. And our legislature has been deeply divided. So we have had a House of Delegates that's controlled by it's basically 100 seats, and 52 of them have been Republican, 48 Democrat, and that basically is exactly what the pro-life, pro-choice count has been. But on our Senate side, it's been reversed. So we've had 22 pro-abortion senators and 18 out of 40 pro-life senators. And so this has been this divided legislature. We have a pro-life governor ready to take action should he get a bill on his desk. But it's a question of whether we can get a bill to his desk. And so last legislative session, we saw block after block by the pro-abortion Senate. And if pro-lifers want to see something move, we're going to have to make a difference this year in this election. Virginia's a little bit different. Most states don't have a state legislative race this year, but all of our seats are up for grabs, and it really is make or break. And just to give a little more context of why Virginia is so important, if you look at the landscape after Dobbs, after we've been able to overturn Roe, Virginia is the last state in the South that really has not been able to make any advancements on the issue of life because we've had this divided legislature. So we're kind of the pro-abortion holdout. So we still have terrible laws around the life issue. You can have an abortion into the very, very late term in Virginia. And that's because we weren't able to make any ground, even though it's back at the threshold of the states. And so really what's being advertised is that Virginia is almost like a destination location for abortion. I hope that makes you cringe when you hear that, because it makes my heart sad. But it really has become, if you can't get an abortion at the right week in North Carolina and Kentucky and Tennessee, in all these places, the first stop is Virginia. And boy, if we don't want our Commonwealth to be known as a place where people come to get abortion. So that's what's on the ballot this particular election.
So now all the state legislature seats are up both in the House and the Senate. Is that correct?
Yes, every single one.
Every single one. So from what you described there, it's a few seats here and a few seats there. So right now, based on the landscape, how does it look like winning pro-life to pro-abortion?
Yeah, it is neck and neck. This entire control of our chambers is going to come down to, we think, a couple hundred votes in a few key areas. I mean, it is so divided, and so much effort has gone into, there's about 3 Senate races that are just super hot that everyone is pouring into. There's a few key House races, maybe 8 on the top end, that everybody knows if we're going to be a pro-life state, it's going to come down to these places. If we're going to be a pro-choice state, it's going to come down to these places. And so money is coming in from around the country. So everything from Soros to super PACs to unions to Of
Mm.
course, Emily's List, which is the leading pro-abortion, funder of
Right.
candidates. There is money coming in on the pro-life side, and our governor has done a wonderful job trying to raise money through a thing called Spirit Virginia. So he's trying to pour it in on the pro-life side. But the Democrats have really made this election. It's not just that abortion is really a major issue. And when we get a new legislature, it is really the primary and central issue of all the campaigns. The Democrats believe they can make ground by saying that Republicans will ban abortion. And so they have made every race, every candidate all about that. And the Republicans have done their best to try to answer that. They're trying to point out that it is, in fact, been the Democrat Party in Virginia that actually stood for a bill that would have allowed abortion up until the moment of birth. And we say paid for by the tax dollars. I mean, that's really what they're standing for with most of these
Right.
candidates. We're not a partisan organization, but it tends to, these races have really had statements made by the two political parties about life. And so it's been interesting to watch. So a lot of the country is now going to look at Virginia, look at these races and go, okay, this was a battle over abortion. How did it shake out? And I think that's going to be a lot of the indicator of what does that mean for everybody else next year.
So tell everybody now, let's zero in. You said there's a couple of key counties, is it, or areas? Could you just name them? So, because listen, everyone listening right now, even if you don't live in Virginia, I bet you know someone who does. Time to take out your old Christmas card list or your phone and let the people you know that live in Virginia what's at stake. So tell us, where do we laser our focus on those neck and neck places? Where are they?
Well, I'll name one that most people are aware of if they paid any attention to the parents' rights battles in Virginia, and that is Loudoun County. That's kind of been the epicenter of sort of other battles not related to life, but very important to people. And there's a part of Loudoun County that is almost the most central Senate seat that has to be won by a pro-life candidate in order to win the state Senate. And so that is really where it's actually that particular seat, it's been like an $11 million funded campaign. I mean, these races, the amount of money pouring in, the amount of door knocking happening, that seat is kind of like number one target for both sides. So that's one. The Fredericksburg area is a pretty major city in Virginia. The Fredericksburg area is another one. And again, these are places that used to be more reliably conservative, more reliably pro-life. The DC liberal bleed just kind of keeps coming out from the city and further and further. And Fredericksburg is now almost a bedroom community of DC, which sounds crazy because there's at least 45 minutes, not with traffic between the two, but really the liberalism has just been sort of seeping down. And so holding on to that area for the issue of life is really, really important. So that's another key area. And then the suburban Richmond area is big, and Virginia Beach. It's these cities right outside of them. It's sort of, are they still going to be urban liberal centers as it creeps into the suburbs? That's kind of where the showdown takes place in Virginia. And these candidates have put it all on the line. And I think the governor in particular has really done an outstanding job campaigning for these folks and there's a rally I jokingly say every 3 hours in Virginia, and have been for the last 2 weeks with the governor. He's just stop after stop after stop to make sure that he can get the message out, because his favorability numbers are very strong, and he has been very pro-life. He has said he believes in life, and so he's trying to put that message out as best as he knows how. And so that is kind of, if folks live in Virginia, they're seeing commercials. Every other commercial is a political commercial. Every other item you're pulling out of your mailbox or in your email or in your digital viewing is a campaign commercial at this point.
Okay. So now people here, they could be voting right now, early voting.
Yeah.
But some people don't know how, like on election day, they know where their polling place is, but they don't know where to go for early voting. Is there a website? How can they go to find out where do I go to vote early in Virginia?
Yeah, there's absolutely, our Department of Elections website is fantastic. The Family Foundation, if you go to familyfoundation.org, you can actually get your voter guide, which is really important. Just kind of go, where do the candidates stand on life? So you can find out where to do it through the election board. You can get your guide on sometimes we just don't know how to cut through the campaign clutter. Who's telling the truth? What's actually been their record on life? And that's what we have at our website, familyfoundation.org. So there's a lot of resources, and you can vote early in person. I know a lot of folks worry about the mail and what gets lost in the mail and all of that, but you can actually show up in person to a precinct near you, and you can actually cast that vote early, but at least feel like you're turning something in to the official location. So I know that's a hang up for a lot of folks, because most of us have been people who want to vote on that day. That's part of what we do. And I understand that, but we want to make sure that we are absolutely nothing gets in the way of our vote. And I'll tell you, we're watching the early voting trends. They look pretty good for pro-life candidates. The early voting, absentee voting numbers start coming in, so we can't tell how you voted, but we can kind of look and say, are the kinds of people we've been targeting that we believe are pro-life, are they going ahead and doing their thing? And that actually is an encouraging number right now in some of these key areas, but it is absolutely neck and neck. And even today, you'll see articles, the ACLU dumping in another $1 million at this last second. It feels like the two parties, if you want to look at in party politics, because that's usually how the articles run, it kind of looks like they were pretty much on parity with the funding up until October. And that's actually pretty good. Republicans usually lag pretty far behind. Now, I will say in October, it's kind of like the Democrats came in and dumped a truck full of cash into these races. And so now it's about a 20 to 30% deficit. But I've seen pro-life candidates be much further behind and absolutely win the day. We don't believe we have to win the cash war. We have to be able to get our message out, and that is happening. So we're encouraged by early voting numbers.
Great. So early voting is the key. Go to familyfoundation.org. Families, repeat again.
Familyfoundation.org, and you can get your voter guide.
Okay. And you know why you want to vote early? Because you guys are in Virginia, even though I'm in Florida, you're in Virginia, and it's the fall weather. Bad rainstorms can happen. Your car could break down. You could get sick on election day. Another reason why, if you're fine and well today, go out and vote now, right?
And the secret that most people don't think about is if you vote early, you stop getting all the political mail. So if it's annoying you, it's another little advantage. Like cut it off with your own vote, because people track that and then they stop. We want to target our efforts for those who haven't yet voted. So and our team is out knocking doors in all these districts. We're hearing good things at the door, but it is going to be neck and neck. But we know
neck and neck, and every vote counts, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Victoria, thanks for joining me. And brothers and sisters, we got to get out and vote pro-life. Like those babies' lives depend on you. So thanks for joining me. Okay.
Thanks for having me.
God bless. Well, brothers and sisters, now you heard from my lovely friend Victoria Cobb, but guess what? I have another special guest from Virginia to talk to you right now. Why voting is so important, and it's Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears. So privileged to have her on my program. Let's hear what she has to say.
In 2021, when we ran, there were 500,000 Republicans who voted for us. But in the very next year, the congressional races, they sat it out. 500,000 Republicans. Cannot have the Republican message gone through if you do not vote. And so what we've been trying to do is to ensure that we capture those 500,000 voters. And who are they? They typically don't vote in presidential races. They don't vote they vote in presidential races, and then they don't vote again until there's a gubernatorial election, and then we don't see them again. We can't have that. Otherwise, we can't do the job that you're trying to get accomplished, which is safe schools, safe neighborhoods, accountable government, transparent government. We can't have that if you don't go and vote. And so we've been pushing absentee ballots as well as early voting. So we'll keep the House and we'll win the Senate back, and then we can get through. What we're trying to at least ask for is 15 weeks. And 15 weeks is when the baby feels pain. So we're trying to do everything possible to get that through. And again, that's why people have to get to the polls. I hope it's not true that we've become some abortion mill state. I hope not, because I believe that the baby in the womb wants to live. And what we've been trying to do in Virginia is to do everything possible to encourage moms to have their babies. For example, we have a safe harbor, and I believe this was maybe 20 years ago that we put it in, where if you had the baby and you didn't think you could care for the baby, bring the baby to a hospital or bring the baby to the police station, and we will take care of your baby so that both of you can have life. As we say, we want to love both. We have been trying to put in policies for daycare. We've been trying to put in policies for better work environments and better education so that moms can be able to live in a good way, with a good income and be able to afford babies. So we've been trying to do everything we can, and we're hoping that people will make a different choice. I believe in life. I believe, again, the baby wants to live. As Ronald Reagan said, those who are for abortion have already been born. And, here in Virginia, we had a governor who said that you can have almost an abortion, even sort of after the baby is born. And he was a pediatrician, he's a baby doctor, as we like to say. He was the governor, and it was Ralph Northam, and he got on the radio and explained that what we would do is keep the infant, he called the baby an infant even, keep the infant comfortable until the mother decides what to do. And it's, have you lost your mind, sir? The baby is already here. The baby is breathing on its own. And so we cannot have good government if folks do not come out and vote. You have to vote. God has given us that ability here in America to choose our leaders and to choose them wisely. And remember, when all is said and done, all of us will have to give an account one day of our actions. Thank you, and God bless all of you. Vote.
Wow. Okay, Virginians, you can get it done. I'm counting on you. Well, now we're going to take a little break. I'm going to show you a commercial. We're going to switch gears up to our friends in Ohio. And let's take a look at this new commercial, pro-life commercial, that's airing up in Ohio.
911, where's your emergency? My daughter! I think she's dead!
These are women killed by abortion. Mothers, daughters, wives. As long as abortion remains legal, it must be regulated. But the pro-choice industry is pushing a dangerous agenda in Ohio. Issue 1 abolishes laws that protect women's lives during an abortion. Do you care about women's health? Then vote no on unregulated abortion. Vote no on Issue 1.
This is a true story. A 10-year-old Ohio girl, raped, pregnant, driven away for an abortion. A cruel tragedy. But if Issue 1 passes, it could have been her rapist behind the wheel, not her mother. Issue 1 erases important parental notification laws. A sexual abuser could drive your daughter to an abortion, and you'd be left in the dark. Vote no on 1. Protect our daughters, not predators. Vote no on Issue 1.
Well, brothers and sisters, that's a great commercial, and you could be using it. You can refer to it. This will be on our YouTube channel. Pass it around social media. Send it to all your friends. And every person that you know in Ohio, we have to get out and vote no on Issue 1. Now, Issue 1 is a constitutional amendment. It wipes away all the good pro-life laws they already have in Ohio, which means it takes the good laws that the elected representatives of Ohio have passed and the governor has signed. So they have a heartbeat law. They have parental notification laws. They have a waiting period laws. This amendment, this Issue 1, will make it all go away and allow abortion until birth. It takes away parental rights. And guess what? A child can go and have transgender, begin taking the drugs and eventually surgery without their parents' permission. So this is a lot's at stake. I'm counting on you to go out. Everybody, you must know somebody in Ohio. Please call them. They also, too, have early voting. It has already begun. Vote today. Vote now. As if your life depended on it, because guess what? The lives of the unborn children depend on it and their mothers. And guess what? Your children and your grandchildren in Ohio, their well-being also depends on it. So again, go out today and vote no on Issue 1. Well, thank you for joining me this evening. I hope I got everyone stirred up. Virginia, Ohio, and even whatever state you're in. Voting every election is key. That's how we keep the liberals and the pro-aborts out. Again, thank you for joining me on my program. And remember, brothers and sisters, it's all up to you. There are some abortions only you're going to be able to stop, and some lives only you can save. Join me again next time. Thank you, and God bless.